Hi, folks. This is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report. I'd like to share with you the last day that I went fishing, which is just 3 days ago, I think. And as I've told you before, I tend to enjoy fishing our tributaries, and I tend to enjoy it for a number of reasons. Number one, they're full of fish. Number two, it gives me the opportunity to go to places where I really am alone. I'm one with the nature around me. I'm one with the herons and the geese that are part of this environment. And third, it gives me a chance to catch some really nice fish. So in the last day that I went, and I was fishing in the Grass River. The Grass River has always been a favorite of mine. It's not necessarily better than the others. I've just come to know some of the stretches better than I do in some of the other waters. And so I was fishing my favorite stretch, and I noticed, wow, what a difference from a week ago. And I knew this was going to happen. Every fall, things start to change. And sure enough, those same pools that just a week before were loaded with bass, I go through and I'm thinking, have an army of fishermen come down here before me? I'm not getting a strike. And as I went further and further, I finally got to this area where it was like old times. Bam, bam, bam. Every cast I was getting a fish. Well, why was that? The fish didn't just suddenly turn on. The fish had left some of those areas that they were in a week ago, and they were going now more towards their migratory habits that happen in the fall. And I'm not really sure all that does happen because I've never discovered where these thousands of fish go when it starts getting colder. They go someplace. They don't leave the rivers because there's barriers. They don't go back to the St. Lawrence. They're there for life in our tributaries. But where do they go? What I do know is things are shifting. And when you think about it, there's reasons for them to shift. The water is getting colder. And as it gets colder, it's getting colder because the air is getting colder. And as the air gets colder, the life around starts changing as well. The frogs no longer are all along the shoreline. There's no longer the same type of flies and bugs and so forth that are part of their diet. In the summer, when it's so hot and the water's low, there's all kinds of food available for them, both above and below the water. But as fall starts to come, that margin of food base tends to really start to shrink, and the fish's habits change. And this is all something that we need to be aware of as the fall season comes. It really is a time of transition, of change. You're going to, in the St. Lawrence River, one of the things that happens in the fall is our muskie population really starts to become more active. They start to move more. They start to migrate more. And for fishermen, it's a time when the fishing opportunities are much greater for muskies. There's much greater chance of really tangling into one of these river monsters. So I think it's important that we understand that this is the time of the year when I see some of the biggest changes coming. Other things that you need to be aware of, as weeds and grass and all the stuff that's under the water that gives them cover and nourishment, as they start to die, they no longer are places of refuge. They're places of poison, actually, because the oxygen has changed, and now it's carbon dioxide that is what those fish would be breathing. So there's an awful lot of reasons why fishing in the fall is really a changing sport. On the plus side, it gives anglers like you and me, people that love to go fishing, but a lot of times our favorite spots are full of vacationers and other people that are on the water. Now there's a greater number of people that do other things. They get ready for winter. They're out cutting wood. They're going deer hunting, or they're just more oriented back towards their families in the fall. The kids are going back to school. There's just so many changes. But for us, now we have the water more to ourselves. We can go to places that aren't getting as much fishing pressure. So it can really be a banner time. And one final thing to remember as we get further into the fall, before it really starts to get really cold, the fish activity increases. Their feeding activity increases. They're feeding up for winter. And there can be great binges of aggressive behavior in the fall that can turn those lazy days of summer into exciting fishing days of fall. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report.